but most importantly for the wonderful work that the Global Water Project is doing throughout the world. So it makes, of course, when you listen to someone like Kellogg and you think of all the students, that you're reaching out to in the university, that it's really possible to make inroads and changes. So thank you very much. Thank you. I would like now to introduce Dr. Mike Magee, who is the president of Positive Medicine, Inc., a public health leadership and communications firm, and a widely recognized as a champion of the health professional advocacy for the planetary patient, most notably under his banner of Healthy Waters. Thank you very much, Mike.
Well, thank you very much, Elaine. I appreciate the opportunity. It's a pleasure and an honor to have the opportunity to address you at this opening panel of the World Water Organization. You are the water quality professionals from around the world with the best water quality education, training, technical and scientific expertise, and service credentials. I'm just a physician leader who believes that your success and ours as caregivers are intimately interwoven and codependent upon each other. How did I arrive here today? Well, it all began in the days of post 9/11. My family and I were direct witnesses to that event, and as a physician and public health professional, as well as a medical journalist here in New York City, I was directly involved in the immediate response. My most significant contribution was the book that you see before you, All Available Boats. It told the story of the largest maritime evacuation since Dunkirk. 300,000 people evacuated by boat here in New York City over the 24 hours post 9/11. With the publication of All Available Boats and the creation of an exhibit by the same name, I found myself here at the UN some months later. And after my speech at that opening, the UN's expert on water at the time, Kirsten Leitner, came up to me and said to me, quotes, "What do you or any doctors really know about water?" And my response was, "Not much." So 2 days later, there appeared in my office about 7 boxes of UN materials that piled about 6 feet high. And 2 months later, I had condensed those down to what would become a 125-page book, which was titled Healthy Waters, What Every Health Professional Should Know About Water. So today I'd like to just briefly share with you that journey and what I learned along the way and how I think this may be relevant to partnerships in the future with health professionals. Those first days that I wandered through the mounds of UN materials, I couldn't help but wonder how it was that this beautiful planet, viewed from outer space, so bountiful and so blessed with water, could today be water scarce. So let's take a look then at some of what I learned along the way. Travel with me where I began, and that's with this small molecule. 2 small atoms, stably and tightly bound to one large atom. But while the individual molecule is an intimate affair, you can see here that its relationship with other water molecules is actually quite casual. In fact, were we to freeze frame this collection of water molecules, we'd find that at any one time, only 15% are actually in contact with one another. They bind and they unbind billions of times a second. This reality helps define water's magic. Solid enough for water bugs to walk and for stones to skip, but also fluid enough to allow for a youngster's immersion. The water molecule is the only one that exists in all 3 states, solid, liquid, and gas, at the same time on our planet. 1/1000th of 1% exists as vapor in our atmosphere at any one time. Evaporation occurs mainly from the ocean surfaces, with water molecules dropping back into the water in an average of 12 hours. If condensed water drops back into the ocean, the molecule may not reappear for 100 years. If it were to drop into a lake, perhaps 10 years. If onto non-fertile soil and it moves down through stone to an underground storage point, it could be gone for a long, long time. But if it were to drop on fertile soil, absorbed by the plant's roots, the molecules may actually reappear in the atmosphere in just a few hours. So, we're blessed with water. But the amount of fresh water we have available to us is only a very small percentage of the total. 97% of our water is contained in our oceans, leaving only 3% as fresh. 2% more is trapped in ice and snow and glaciers out of reach, inaccessible. And this leaves less than 1% accessible as surface or groundwater. As for us, we are 65% water. A loss of 1% makes us thirsty. 5% gives us a mild fever. Losing 10% leaves us immobilized. And if we lose 12%, we die. Ours is a delicate balance, and I must tell you, our draw to the water is profound. I first viewed this photo of a boy in a polluted reservoir in China, and others with me were aghast. But I must admit to you that having grown up on a small island, my draw to the water was so powerful that I, too, as a young boy, would swim through garbage to get to it. So it's critical that we understand not only the scientific need for this substance, but also our deep social and spiritual relationship with it as well. Knowing and loving water as I do, I was surprised how little I really knew. For example, the fact that agriculture dominates its use, 70% worldwide, I had no idea. I was also unaware that these percentages vary widely from developed to developing economies, where agriculture squeezes hard on daily personal use for drinking, for bathing, for washing, for hygiene. It took me some time to appreciate that water is food and food is water. Indeed, food could be described as virtual water, and what we choose to eat affects how much water we consume. For instance, it takes 1.5 units of water to produce 1 unit of cereal. But it takes 6 units of water to produce 1 unit of chicken, and 15 units of water to produce 1 unit of beef. Our dietary choices are, in fact, our water choices as well. Consider this fact. Americans require about 3 liters of water a day to survive. Yet, 3,000 liters a day are required to produce the average daily American diet. It made me wonder about our choices, their ties to heart disease, to diabetes, to childhood obesity, and our food industry's interest now in marketing this diet to the developing world. Yet, as I viewed the piles of materials from the UN, I was justifiably proud of the progress that we've made using modern food and farming technology. I was surprised to learn that absent these advantages, we would be able to feed only about 600 million of the world's 6.3 billion people, rather than the 5.3 billion who go to bed nourished each and every day. Still, I think it's worth questioning our choices and appreciating our approaches and solutions. Success, in our view, is tied to certain images and sounds, but we don't have a lock on ingenuity. For example, you'll see here a central Indian farmer's take on irrigation, filling disposed intravenous fluid bags with scarce water and actually irrigating his plants. I think that's ingenious. The link between irrigation and poverty can't be overstated.